Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. Now, Steve, there was a recent study that found 1 in 5 over the age of 65 are still working. I did a little math. That's about 11 million Americans. And most didn't return to work because they wanted to. It's because they had to. Here's labor economist and author Teresa Ghilarducci on CBS News.
So I call it the work, retire, repeat syndrome. More than half of the people who are retired right now do not have enough money to be retired. I blame policymakers who experimented with our retirement system 40 years ago, and they are not saying the experiment failed. The thought was that Americans just need a little bit of financial literacy and they can just save on their own.
Okay, well, a couple things there, and I want to break it down. She mentions financial literacy. I think we all can agree we're certainly lacking in that. And, really she's talking about the 401k savings plan here, right? It was supposed to take the place of a pension that are, really far and few between these days. It was supposed to offer, hopefully, some sort of guaranteed monthly check like a pension. So how can we replicate a personal pension with the money in that 401k, Steve?
Yeah, and that is pretty accurate there, what she's saying. I mean, of course, she went back a long way referring to Social Security, and Social Security wasn't supposed to be a be-all, end-all. I mean, if you recall, it was the Great Depression and a way to help people feel better about their future. And that's what it was. It was a political Band-Aid that just, again, it was supposed to add some peace of mind and some security to people's futures. And it does for many Americans. I mean, that's still a staple in their retirement plan. But when the pensions went away, that was the biggest dagger to the American retirement system because that was a paycheck for life. And a 401k is merely a savings plan that you have to now figure out, how can I make it last? And my job here is to help educate people and to say to them, hey, did you know that you can create your own lifetime income check with a portion of your 401k and help supplement your Social Security? And it's fascinating just how many people out there don't even know they can do that. And that's the real shame, is that the administrators of the 401ks are not doing their job, in my opinion, on educating the public about what their options are. And so that's why, you and I are here every Saturday morning trying to do this show, trying to help people understand that there are other alternatives. And they're unbelievable alternatives. I mean, depending on your age and when you're going to start taking income, I've seen these things pay out over 8% guaranteed for life, Jess. I mean, that is regardless of whether the market is up or down or none of that stuff. I mean, that is a solid return and a guaranteed paycheck for life, which will certainly add stability and greater peace of mind to someone's retirement plan, because in the end, it is all about the paycheck, because that's when you retire. I mean, the definition is basically when you can replace your paycheck, you can retire. So that's what Americans are struggling with. And we got phone calls, was it last week's show? Someone had called in and said, hey, Steve, I heard you on the radio, and I was flipping houses for a while there, but of course that's all cooled off now. And, I've got a nice amount of money that I've accumulated and it's sitting in an account and it's safe. He goes, but I don't have a guaranteed cash flow here. And he wanted to talk to me about these lifetime income products, to which I responded, obviously I'd be happy to. I sent him some ideas and some illustrations, and he was kind of blown away by it. And that's what's going on today. There's still very, very high rates. And this is a unbelievable time. All of us here in the Cape, we tend to kind of
take a little break from reality. I get that.
Yeah, we kind of chill during the summer. Well, that's over. It's officially over, and now it's the fall, and people are more focused on, okay, work and time in, and what am I going to do? Make a phone call and say, all right, Steve, I've heard you for years, or maybe you're a new listener. What is going on with these things? How do they work? Because I've heard mixed reviews on all this stuff. And by the way, there's mixed reviews on everything in life, is there not? I mean, I think we have an election coming up pretty soon.
It's something like that, yeah.
Pretty mixed reviews on both candidates, would you say?
Yeah.
I mean, polar opposites, right? So that's how it is in life. And you have to get your information. You have to get facts, right? Not fiction and not social media stuff. You want to look at the numbers and say, oh, okay, these are real. These are numbers, and these can't be changed.
All right, Steve, this is a big question here. Just want to remind you, your wife's probably listening. Who truly manages your house and family? In other words, who's the boss?
Can I plead the fifth?
You can. I don't know if that's as bad as not saying your wife, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Well, ultimately, I'd like to think that I'm the one basically obviously in charge of the money just because of my background.
You're the money guy, sure.
She kind of, I mean, when it comes to the household in general.
She keeps you in line.
I kind of defer to her. So, yeah, I'll be painfully honest.
Painfully honest. I think a lot of other men out there are thinking the same thing. Well, see if you can relate to comedian Gabriel Rutledge. Listen to this.
I don't really know what I'm doing with my children or my wife. That's why I am the assistant manager of my family. My wife is the manager. We work as a team. That's what the assistant manager does. Sometimes I have to be like, look, kids, it doesn't really bother me either if you don't replace the toilet paper roll. But this is coming from corporate. My hands are tied, honestly. I agree with you. We should pile a bunch of them on the back of the toilet. I suggested that at the meeting. That was shot down.
I don't care who you are. That is funny. That's every couple going, listen, guys, I totally get it. It's not a big deal, but mom, maybe even dad, this is what gets them real excited. So we gotta change the toilet paper roll. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Well, I'm laughing because obviously, as you know now, I'm a grandparent. And my son and his wife are just kind of going through potty training.
Ah, been there. Yeah.
And it's hilarious, the stories that I hear, which are so much different than when we went through it with our own kids. Somehow it's more comical when you don't have to be there for all the accidents. But it is pretty funny what he said. I mean, that is just a howl and a half.
I love that. Yeah, I'm the assistant manager, and my wife is the manager. This is coming from corporate. I love that line.
I think that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Well, it got me thinking here. When you sit down and you meet with couples, chances are there probably is one or the other. Somebody is maybe more financially savvy than the other, or maybe in control of paying the bills or what have you. But it's so important that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's involved in the planning process, right?
It's huge. And when I have couples come in, usually the first one who starts talking is typically the one who is either supposedly in charge or maybe think they're in charge or maybe know a little bit more. And sometimes it's the man, sometimes it's his wife, sometimes it's kind of a little chatter going back and forth. But what I find is that when one person is controlling the conversation, I immediately try to step back a little and involve the other person and say, hey, you need to be aware of what's going on too, because your spouse can predecease you. And if that's the case, you need to know where the money is, how it works, and what's going on. So I immediately want to involve both because I think it's just extremely important. And sometimes it's a false messaging when one person's carrying and the other is silent because, sometimes it's the silent types, right, that can control a conversation. And so I want to just be alert and be aware and be sensitive of the fact that both need to be involved because it's a financial decision, and marriage is like like the comedian said, a partnership. It is. And you need to have both involved. Now, obviously, some will have higher levels than the other, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. I always involve both because, like I said, I don't know who's going to be here 10 years from now, 15 years from now. So I think it's very, very important and you need to be very sensitive about that. And I think that's how I've tried to do it over the years, and I find that works best. And sometimes at the end of the conversation, I'll have the silent one kind of give me a look and kind of like a thank you type of look. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm never included and thank you for, being aware. You know what I mean? And so I try to do that. And it is I mean, that's pretty funny stuff. But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
in all seriousness, you have to involve both. You have to.
Yeah, everyone has to be involved. I mean, unfortunately, you hear those stories all the time. Hey, my husband or wife passed away, and I didn't know what any of the paperwork was. Or, we've talked about those stories
Exactly.
before where the kids didn't know where the information was, so they didn't
Right.
know that mom or dad, had this money put away for this or that. And I mean, it's so important that everybody's on the same page. I've actually heard stories where people literally have, somebody like you, Steve, they're financial professional, and there's a sticker, there's a card on the refrigerator that says like, hey, anything happens to mom or dad, call him. He knows what to do.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
listen, that's not a bad idea. That way, when things go down, you know what to do.
Yeah, and I'm kind of going through that now with my folks because, I mean, I'm fortunate to have them around at 91 and 88, but that also comes with some challenges. I mean, longevity comes with challenges. It's just the way it is, cognitively and mobility-wise, all those things. And I try to work as closely as I can. I mean, my sister is a godsend. I mean, first of all, she's the only daughter of all of us. And secondly, she lives the closest. So everything kind of falls on her, fair or unfair. But, living an hour and a half away, I still want to try to, help when I can, especially with financial matters, And I see that a lot with my customers who have parents, right, who are in their 80s and 90s. It's a challenge, and you just got to be aware of it and be sensitive to it and do the best you can, working with everybody and letting people know, hey,
Yeah.
I'm here for you, but I can also help with other situations. I mean, they don't have to be my direct clients for me to help. And I think people appreciate that a lot.
Now, we know the number one fear when it comes to planning for retirement is, of course, running out of money. That's everybody's worst fear. Then you have Warren Buffett over here saying, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. So for a person going into retirement, Steve, how can you make this happen? How can you make the idea of running out of money or not having enough money fly out the window?
Well, you wonder why this guy is one of the wealthiest people in the world, right? He wants his money working 24/7 when he's not. And that is the key. I mean, when you try to retire, that's exactly what you're doing, is you're trying to have the money that you saved replace the money that you've earned. So, yeah, I mean, replacing the paycheck just involves replacing the income, and annuities are actually built exactly for that. That's why they've been around for so many, many years. They're built to replace income. Obviously, people can use real estate to replace income, too, by having rentals. And, of course, that involves a lot more skill because you have to buy the real estate right. You have to manage it right. You have to, have the right people in there. So there's a little more work to it, but it can work. And for the right people, it can do very well. But obviously, an annuity with a guaranteed income check is a lot less to manage and will provide a nice guaranteed check for life as well. And then today, I mean, banks are paying interest. And yes, we're starting to see signs of that going down a little bit. But gosh, I mean, 2 years ago, you were excited to get one. And today they're still around 4.5 on a short-term CD in the money market. So there's certainly something for that. The person I mentioned who called in last week, he did a lot of real estate, transitioned out, took a lot of his gains and put them in a safe environment right now in the bank while he's investigating and looking at how to replace his paycheck. So he's doing exactly what we do for people. And so that's why he called, because he knows that I've been around a long time and have a lot of experience. And he knows that he can't keep his money in the bank forever because he's not going to get that, 4.5%, 5% forever. It's going to go probably down in the next year or two. It might go back up in the future, but we don't know. And he realizes that, hey, I can't be doing that for long. So he wants lifetime guarantees, and that's why he called. And so that's why a lot of people call. How can I alleviate the fear of running out of money? Now, obviously, the Social Security check won't run out. At least I feel professionally it's not going to run out. The government might tinker with it more, but it's going to have to be there for
Sure.
people because it's too important. But we need other sources of income, especially here in Massachusetts. I mean, your Social Security check ain't going to cut it, not up here. So, we need other sources. And so that's what we do while we're here. And I love to see the expressions on people's faces when I show them how much of a check they can get forever. And usually the response is, well, how come my guy didn't tell me this? Or how come my 401k people didn't tell me this? I hear that almost every session I have, almost every one. And I just have this kind of, I say, I don't know, I'm not them. My job is to explain your options and make sure that you at least know what's going on out there so you can make an intelligent decision. And unfortunately, like I said, I think our retirement system has failed us in that regard because, how do I put this? We're all biased, right, Jess? I mean, you're biased towards things that you're comfortable with and you do. I'm biased towards things that can provide my clients with greater peace of mind and safety. I mean, that is my bias. But you know what? I love that bias, and I admit it all the time. I am not the guy who's going to, make you 40% in 1 year and maybe 30 and then lose 30 and lose 40. Okay, that's not why people come to me. They want to come to me to stabilize their retirement future and to stabilize their income.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.